My name is Ebo Bentil. I'm responsible for product development as well as platform service delivery, ensuring service availability to our clients. I think that's an interesting question. First of all, copying is not a bad thing, depending on what you're copying. And it's probably the quickest way to leap forward. So I can see how, given that so many African countries are underdeveloped, there will be entrepreneurs who would attempt to build what doesn't exist here, which exists elsewhere. I believe that fundamentally, a lot of what we see happening in Africa is a result of poor leadership. When we look at in history at other countries that have become industrialized and doing things that we admire, we always see leaders that drove people towards certain outcomes. There are technologies that we use today because the US president decided he had to put a man on the moon, and that spurred a whole lot of innovation and growth in technology that is now taken for granted. So fundamentally, you don't see a lot of leaders setting significant outcome from the people. And therefore, there isn't a challenge. There's nothing challenging you to excel and to do something significant and different. So I don't think it's because we are incapable. Clearly, when you put Africans in a system elsewhere, in the US or in Europe, they perform differently. So it's not because of an inherent inability, nor is it that we are less intelligent or not as smart. The ability is there. It's not been developed and channeled properly. And that's where leadership comes in. Speaking just from the perspective of Ghana, I haven't looked at education systems elsewhere, but at least in Ghana, we have a situation where you are not really expected to have an opinion while you're in school. So, let's say the typical person completes university at the age of, say, 20 to 23. And up until that point, they are simply expected to reproduce what the teacher has told them ever since they entered school. And you have a situation where when you produce original thinking, sometimes it affects your grades, adversely affects your grades. You can have students who are conditioned to not do any significant critical thinking. And we produce so many of them from our institutions of education. And so there will be an effect on the eventual outcome when they enter the workforce. There is evidence that there are some entities some business entities in Africa who are doing something really innovative. And so that at least points to the fact that it is possible, just hasn't happened on a certain scale yet. So it simply requires attention. The kind of progress that we see in other economies that we admire didn't happen by accident, nor did they happen just by themselves. It wasn't through a process of natural evolution. A lot of it was driven. As an engineer, when I think of the effort it takes to produce a system that works reliably, you realize that there are things that you have to do very deliberately over a period of time. And therefore, in this particular matter of innovation in Africa, it requires a certain deliberate effort to produce that outcome consistently on a large scale. And for me, that's fundamentally a leadership problem.